Hey, what's going on, everyone? Perchy here. Welcome to Purchase Corner. I have the amazing Jeremy Lee. He's got this awesome show called Sports Card Live. He talks everything sports cards. He goes live a few times a week. It's an honor to have him on. I'm thrilled right now, and he usually goes with hockey cards specifically on Sunday with Josh from Hockey Card Gong Show, which is always fun. I love watching that. And then you also do uh, Slab Sharks as well, which is really cool to see during the week. I absolutely love that. I know we kind of communicated through Instagram. I had commented on one of your posts. I seen that you kind of got into tag, and now that's one of your sponsorships. So we'll definitely get there kind of towards the end of my questioning. So I appreciate being on, Jeremy. Thank you so much.
Pleasure to be here, Perchy. Happy to be here and looking forward to our conversation. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah. So I'll pretty much just start off with, when did you start collecting and who ultimately got you into it? That's kind of the one I always like to dive in deep with collectors is what got you into this and how did you start?
The year is probably 1980. I go over to my cousin's house. There were three boys. They were all around my age, within 2 years older or younger of me. And I remember going to the older cousin's room, my cousin Danny, going to his bedroom, and on his floor, he's got, I think, what were 1978 O-Pee-Chee hockey cards, like strewn all over the floor. And so I started picking them up and looking at them and reading the stats. I'm starting to read, starting to understand numbers. I was about 8 years old at the time. And I also just like the little pictures of these players who I'd seen play live, because I used to go to WHA games at the Winnipeg Arena with my dad back in the mid to late 70s. So that was the beginning. That was the seedling that got it started, and I just haven't looked back since.
That's amazing. That's who got me into it was my dad. He was collecting in the 80s, and it just kind of seeing those cards, although I wasn't able to touch him. I was not able to touch him, but he's got a huge collection. His basement's absolutely just stacked, much like your room behind you. It's just from wall to ceiling, hockey memorabilia in every room. So I definitely thank my dad for that. Got me into it, and we did it together in 06, 07. Really got into it. And so we would go to card shows together all the time, and that's who kind of got me into it. Um, Ultimately, right now, where you're at in the hobby, like what do you love about it? What's like the best part right now for you in this hobby that you would say?
Well, it's two things. It's the cards themselves. I love cards. I love cards that I love. And it's the community. I just came off of back-to-back big shows this past weekend, the weekend before. And then I was, also at the Philly show and Fanatics Fest and a local Calgary show, and Toronto Expo's coming up in a few weeks. So I love the community. I love the camaraderie, the fraternity, all those things, like we just great time with friends, making friends, building relationships, and the cards themselves. I love going to a card show because I never know what I'm going to come out with. And that's so exciting to just not know what you're going to acquire, what you're going to sell. So that's really what I enjoy. And of course, I make a ton of content, and I love all facets of the hobby right now.
That's awesome. Yeah. Speaking of community, we have the awesome chat. It's a little early for them. They're used to, a little late show here. So Spine Ticks, Papa and Baby Bear, G.I. Joe Gamer, Lon Espinoza, huge hockey bro. So is Sith. Yeah, they always come out to support some of these chats. Hammy and Son, he's a big collector as well. He's a big football guy. We got Jay's Mix. We got sports card ripping teacher. So always like to give them a little bit of love. These are a lot of guys that are in the community and maybe are new to you. I know some of them know who you are, so which is great. Now you had some amazing pickups, by the way, at this last show. I saw it. You didn't go over your Gretzky, and I was a little bummed because I was curious on what that Gretzky grade was. But you had some amazing pickups. I see you like all sorts of players in the hockey hobby, and I find that to be really interesting. I kind of have a condensed list of about 5-6 guys that I collect myself. But what are some of your goals? When you're collecting these cards, like what's are you looking for just a facet of players that you personally love, or is it just the card themselves that like what's kind of your goals in the hobby when you're looking for cards?
It's always evolving, Perky. That's a hard question to answer because I've had goals in the past. Every rookie card, and then it was every rookie card of every Hall of Famer, and then it was of all sports, and then I sold off a bunch of those for various reasons, and now it's like I want to acquire cards that mean something to me, and especially when it comes to vintage baseball. I love vintage baseball. I love modern hockey, auto patches, love them. I look at a card, it just gives me that, if I have a feeling in my stomach, like a physiological feeling, I know it's the right card for me oftentimes. If it makes me feel a certain way, it's like, okay, I need to acquire that. I work on various sets to this day, picking up cards, chipping away at cards from those sets. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's hard to really, uh, explain a goal in particular right now because I've been collecting hard for over 40 years. So I like a lot of different things still. And I also like to be nimble and flexible and versatile in my collecting and not just have to stick to one thing. I'm not a player collector, although I collect 35 players. To me, once you own one card of a player, to me, I mean, it might sound silly, but I picked up a couple Pavel Bure's here at the Vancouver show. I'm now a Bure collector because I have more than one. So I don't know, man. I like to learn how other people collect. I like to be influenced by other people's collecting habits. If they show me a card that I hadn't seen before or appreciated before and it looks really good, or I gain an understanding for it, I am prone to start collecting that kind of card. And I like to share those thoughts with other people too. So yeah, man, lots of interest in cards, and I have for so long.
Yeah, I'm kind of there with you. I when I looked at my collection, what I realized is I had a really decent sized collection of Sid and Ovi, and so I've went really heavy into them. Again, not so many patch autos and things that might be a little out of my realm at this point in time. Kind of like we were talking backstage. I definitely have a big family, so
Yeah.
but on the budget that I have, that's what I've decided to kind of go with. Some few subsets of McDavid, Gretzky, Lemieux, Austin Matthews. I really love him. Big Leafs fan. And so I just decided to at least try and concentrate on Sid and Ovi specifically. I thought that would be something fun to achieve for myself if I could get to that super collector sort of status on those cards. And the way I've made it fun is I'll try and collect the same card of each player. And that's a pretty big challenge. So, I'll kind of show you like, something like stature, low print stature. I'll try and get the same OV card as that. And I really think that's a fun little challenge. One of the nice cards I have is the Colors and Contours, one of
Oh, yeah.
three of Austin Matthews, was one of my bigger pulls, back in the day before discovering like autos and auto patches.
I'm doing that too, collecting the same card of I call them the triumvirate, Ovi, Crosby, and McDavid. I'll try and get their three cards of certain things. But you know what I don't collect a lot of is like the ultra modern rookies. I find that even as a player, I'm a Calgary Flames fan, and I don't collect anyone on the Flames because your players on your team, they leave. Ultimately, they leave. Like it's gonna happen to Austin Matthews, bro. I hate to tell you, but he's gonna leave eventually, and you're gonna be heartbroken in your collect. You're gonna, everyone is. It's unfortunate. I just went through it too many times as a collector, so I don't collect the hot rookie on my favorite team. I don't collect the hot rookie anyway because it's just so risky a lot. But that's what the hobby right now, the modern hobby is. It's built on this year's hot prospects, and I understand that, but that's also the most volatile, and I don't enjoy volatility that much. I know a lot of people do, so I prefer either the retired players who I have a respect and are meaningful to me, as well as active players who are almost guaranteed Hall of Famers, like you said, Ovechkin, Crosby,
Mhm.
those kind of players, even McDavid.
Yeah. No, I think what scared me about the Austin Matthews signing was just a 4 year. You're so used to these star players, doing 6, 7, 8 years. I think that's what made me a little nervous into, where are we going to see him after that 4 year contract if they don't go on the run that they're looking for? Will it change? And then yes, all these cards I collected, like, oh man, now I got to start all over with a different team. Kind of like you said with I only have a few vintage. I got some Daryl Sittler, and I got a couple Bobby Orrs. Actually, Papa Bear gave me these ones, so some nice Bobby Orrs. They're actually in really good shape. Something I would eventually like to get slabbed up, maybe with like tag or something like that, just to have in my personal PC. Um, are you chasing anyone right now as you go to these shows? Like, is there a specific,
I mean,
player?
my most favorite player to collect is Teemu Selanne. He's my all-time favorite
Mm,
professional athlete. So I picked this card up at the just a couple days ago at the Vancouver show, like yesterday, basically. But really, what I'm looking for right now are the top two cards on my want list are the 1941 play ball Joe DiMaggio and the 1933 Gaudy Lou Gehrig card number 92. Those are the two top of my want list cards. I also want a C56 Ty Cobb red portrait. Like I collected from Teemu Selanne in hockey to Hall of Fame baseball players. I love all that. And I just want to say I saw Lon Espinosa's comment about McKinnon and Makar. Yeah, two other awesome players. It's crazy to say, but they're both likely to be Hall of Famers. They got the hardware, they got the Stanley Cup and all that. But I ask a guy like Lon if he's a collector of those players, like how are you going to feel when they ultimately leave that team? Like so few players stay there throughout. Look what happened to Islander fans with John Tavares and now Tampa fans with Steven Stamkos. I mean, those guys are heartbroken. I know lots of collectors of both those guys. So, that's kind of a thing. So I like to focus on a retired player. I'm lucky to have a couple that I really like. I also collect Gretzky, Lemieux, Static, Medano, I collect tons of players. Like I told you, I probably have 35 or 40 player PCs. So it's pretty crazy.
No, that's great. I think it's nice to have that wide variety. I've Patrick Kane and seeing him kind of move on from Chicago is, now my hunt was, all right, I need a New York Rangers card. I need Detroit Red Wings. Well, I ended up, getting both, which is great. So now I have that part of the PC as well. Malkin's in there for me just because it's something I had an abundance of. So, that's kind of how I structured my collection is if I had more than 10 cards or 20 cards of that player, I would then keep my eye out for those particular players. Gretzky just is a ultimate legend. I know my dad has a ton of cards, but then I acquired, a decent amount myself. So just someone that I absolutely love. He's one of my favorite players of all time. I was able to watch him a lot as a kid and ultimately watch his retirement game, 99. So, yeah, he's one of the best.
You'd asked about, so this is the one that I picked up in Vancouver.
Yes.
I just bought this yesterday off another vendor at the show, and it's a PSA 2, but it's one of the nicest 2s I'd ever seen. Like just the centering is great, the color and registration are great. It's got corner issues and has a crease running kind of running through over here, but you can't even see it in normal light. It's just super cool. And so, I'm going to be set up at the Toronto Expo in 3 weeks as a vendor. I'm going to take it there with me and see what I can do with it. I know maybe make a trade it for something I want even more. I've got a Gretzky rookie or a couple in my collection already, but I love cards that are super strong for the grade. And I love finding good homes for them if it's not my own.
No, I love that. I would take honestly a 1 or 2 for myself. I think that's one card when I asked my dad, what's his holy grail, and when you kind of go back to the late 80s, he could have had a ton of them, right? And it's just something that he missed out on. And I've been keeping my eye out. There's a gentleman that goes to my local sports card show who has Bobby Orr and some Wayne Gretzky slab cards, and I always walk by his booth, Jeremy, and I'm always like, all right, this is my goal one day, is to pick one of these up. They're not in really high grades, but they look really nice. It's just something I would love to acquire at some point in my collecting journey here, and that way I could say I have it, you know. So as far as you kind of touched on my next question a little bit, as far as, you know, vintage and modern, you know, as far as like who's hot and who's on that list. I think you kind of went over that when we were talking about the chasing. You know, what ultimately, because I know that someone asked in the chat here, what's your holy grail card that you would say is a must have at some point in your collecting journey?
It's the two that I just mentioned, probably, because I've I got my grails. I've got them. Like, I've been chasing and going for them, and you know, I've had some that I don't have anymore because, you know, for various reasons. You know, like I would have said a Michael Jordan jambalaya was a grail, but I owned one for a few years and I sold it at a hefty profit last year because I needed to raise some money for personal reasons. So, but you know, like, I'm not going to say a Tito 6 Honus Wagner. I mean, it's crazy. You know, it's not a grail for me.
Yeah.
I don't really have, like,
Right.
I literally have my grails already. You know, like I said, been doing this for so long, and right now my grail would, they're not, I don't know if I can even consider them grails, because every month there's 3 options to purchase if I want them, and then it's just about finding the right copy. So I guess let me try this, Perchy. For me, a grail is like finding the exact right 1941 Joe DiMaggio play ball and 1933 Gaudi Lou Gehrig, because I even saw on REA auctions, I just got their email today, one came up, and I'm looking, I'm like, that's close to being perfect for me, but just something's just a little bit wrong with it, you know? So my grail is finding the right card of those two, because, you know, I've got a great Gretzky rookie and a Bobby Orr, and I've got a couple Babe Ruths, and I've got a Mickey Mantle rookie and a Willie Mays and a Hank Aaron, and, like, you know, I've got all those cards. So it's like, what are the top cards I'm looking for? And those are them.
Okay. No, I love that. I absolutely love that. I was going to talk to you a little bit about grading. I did bring just a few. I'll show you. So I know you've been doing tag for your PC, just for some PC cards. And then, you know, between, like, you know, Beckett and PSA, and I know I got some PSA bros and some SGC bros in the chat here. You know, what's your top grading choice for PC? And then on the other hand, maybe something that you're bringing to the card show and flipping, or are you pretty much open to all of them, or what's kind of your go-to as far as that standpoint?
Yeah, I'm kind of open to anything, but I mean, I do have thoughts on all of them. So you mentioned, you know, Tag Rating is a sponsor of mine. Well, they don't really sponsor me. I'm more of an ambassador for Tag Rating. I'm an early investor. I invested in the company about 3 years ago. They approached me at the 2021 National, and I met them, and I went down to their facility. I got a tour. This is already 3 years ago. And then I agreed to you know, they basically wanted to reveal themselves to the hobby on my channel. So a few years ago, I did a 5-episode series with them, and then I invested in the company, and then I joined them as a business development representative for a while, and then I'm not really active. I don't do anything. I'm not involved in their day-to-day operations, but I'm an ambassador. I'm a big fan of what they're doing. I love the objective, non-human element of grading. I don't understand why we send cards to the same company over and over again. We're paying them to do the same thing more than once, which is, I think, is a load of crap, really. You know, so there's that. And, you know, I also don't like the idea that I could be buying PSA 10s that used to be PSA 9s, because that, you know, how many PSA 9s have been resubbed and now become 10s? Lots. What percentage of PSA 10s in ultra modern used to be 9s, and maybe even all the way back to vintage? It's a big, hefty number, I think. You know, it's not 50% or anything, but I think you probably have a, you know, 1 in 3, 1 in 4 chance that any PSA 10 you're buying used to be a PSA 9. And to me, that doesn't make much sense if considering they command the most money. However, they have the you know they have the 90% of the market, so there's a lot of power in that, and a lot of people just like to gamble with the grade. So I get that. SGC, I think they are the best graders of vintage. There's no doubt in my mind they are superior to PSA as far as their ability to grade according to standards. So I really like SGC, but what I don't like their slab. I have a couple, but I don't like that black inlay. I think it takes away from the card. So I'm not a big fan of that. Beckett, I think right now there's a ton of, because the Beckett brand is so depressed in value and everyone's, just wondering what are they doing? They seem to be just dying a slow death right now. It's really sad because, I think it's a great brand and it's such hobby nostalgia there. But so because that, I think there's because their values are depressed. I think there's good value in BGS 9s and 9.5s. There's a lot of BGS 9.5s that are easy PSA 10s. So why not, get, and at the end of the day, I like to say buy the card, not the grade, but I'm in the minority because most people buy the grade. They're putting, most of their money into the plastic and the label versus the card inside because it's prestigious, it's flexing, it's PSA 10, right? So, but that's my thought on Beckett. You've got HGA, you've got a bunch of, second tier, third tier grading companies on the human grading side, like the HGAs, I can't even remember all of them, but those ones, I will buy cards in those slabs if I like this, if I like the card, if I think the card is consistent with the grade they gave. I literally will look at any graded card except for tag, because tag is objective and there's no human bias. And I the first thing I say is, do I agree with the grade? And if I don't, if I think the card is better than the grade, that's a card I might want to buy because you're going to get great value in a PSA 1 that looks like it could be a 5, except it has some technical flaw. So as far as top name brand grading companies, I'm okay with them, but I don't use them. I'm not going to submit my cards to them. And as far as tag goes, I'm an investor, so you got to know that I have a bit of bias there, of course, but I only invested because I believe in what they're doing. I saw the facilities, I met the team, I met the founders, and it's a great group of people there. They want what's best for the hobby, so I'm a big fan of what they're doing, and I do submit all of my cards that are eligible for grading with tag to them for my personal collection, usually inserts. Because they don't grade before 1989. They don't grade acetate cards, die cut cards, anything thicker than 55 points. So it's limited that way. And so they get all my PMGs and O-Pee-Chee Platinums and that kind of stuff.
I love the way they look. I think they're very sharp. And I love how they actually give you the tools to send those cards in. I absolutely love that. And then when you're getting it back, it's like ripping open a pack of hockey cards, which I love doing. So no, I absolutely love what they're doing. I think it looks great. And like you said, taking that human element away is very interesting in the hobby. Now I know Alex has got a question. Is if you had a Ken Dryden rookie card in your collection?
Yeah, I probably owned one for 20 years. I sold it last year. As I mentioned, I needed to raise some money and I needed to raise a lot of money. So I sold off all my like rookie cards from the 60s and 70s and 80s, except for a few. I kept the best stuff, but I had a PSA 9 O-Pee-Chee dried and I sold it. I sold my Lafleur, my Dion, my Sittler, my Clark, my Perot, my Trottier, my Larry Robinson, Billy Smith, Tony Esposito, Phil Esposito, Bernie Parent, Yvonne Cornwallier, my Stan Mikita. I kept the Bobby Hall. I kept the Bobby Orr, a couple others. So, that's I sold off a whole bunch. And that goes for basketball, football, baseball too. I sold my Nolan Ryan, my Johnny Bench, my Roger Maris, my Yastrzemski. Like I sold a lot of these cards off because I needed some cash.
Okay. And then Lon's asking, how is tag with grading UD canvas cards?
Yeah, I think pretty good. I mean, I think they grade them. I've never submitted a canvas card myself for grading with tag, but as Lon probably knows, canvas upper deck canvas cards are among the best graded cards because they come back. They're really well made, so they grade really well. And I've never really looked into the tag pop report on canvas cards, but I wonder how strong they grade with tag, and is it consistent with how strong they grade with PSA and Beckett? I would think it is, because one thing about tag is that did not reinvent the grading scale. A lot of people think, well, they're grading with computers, so it's going to see everything, so you're going to get you're going to be great. They grade harder. Well, tag does not grade harder. They take existing grading standards and apply automation to them. So even if there is a flaw in the card, they have this concept called the NHOD, the non-human observable defect. So if you can't see it and it's there, they don't penalize the card for it.
Wow, I love that. I would love to give them a shot on some of my personal PC cards, because there's quite a few that I would love to get graded.
Well,
and maybe
one thing you'll love, let me just say this quick, Perchy.
Yeah.
The tag slab is easily the best plastic in the hobby. It's almost glass grade. It's just a few points lower than the clarity of crystal, I should say. And like I have one here. This was a Van City card show giveaway, so this isn't a graded card, but this is the slab, and the plastic is so clear. And the whole purpose of the slab is to feature the card, not the brand or the label. You can see it's very discreet up there, and it's transparent throughout. But even a lot of people say that CGC has the best slab, and theirs is second best to this one. And how do I know that? Because if you take this slab and you put it next to a CGC slab, which I don't have one right now, you'll notice that this slab is clearer. And if you really want to see, turn it on its edge like this, and then put a CGC card next to it like this, and you'll see that the tag slab is clear and the CGC slab is blue. And I'm not knocking CGC. I like that company a lot, but as far as the slab goes, the tag slab is in my opinion the slickest, the nicest, the most substantial, and it uses the best and clearest plastic.
That's an awesome card, by the way. Love Brett the Hitman Hart. Some nostalgia there. Absolutely. So I was going to show you a couple cards that we were talking about grails. Again, nothing crazy, Jeremy, but I know that I was going to at some point send you some of my Sid. We talked, this was months back, but I'll kind of switch us here real quick just so you can see. So this is my current Holy Grail, is the Ultimate Rookie Ovechkin. And I've been watching a Crosby like this as well, just so I can match him up. And then really just you had picked up or you were showing on your Slab Sharks auction this week a couple Sid cards, and to me he's got the best auto in the game right now, I think, hands down. Just, it's not the cleanest card. It probably wouldn't grade really high, but I would definitely love that protected, just for my own personal PC. But yeah, those are a few cards that I would maybe consider doing either tag or PSA authentication or something like that.
Tag wouldn't grade. I don't know if they would grade the Crosby, because they don't grade jersey cards or memorabilia cards yet. They will get there. Hey, what's up, Stukes? They will get there, but they're just not there yet. So yeah. But those are great cards. I love that Ovi, that Ultimate Rookie auto.
Thank you.
That's pretty awesome.
I ended up picking that one up in 06, 07. And so, and you've been collecting a long time like I have. We wasn't paying the prices that they are now, kind of looking at that one. I know one had sold for $900, but then I see some that are selling for, $2,000. And would I do that? I don't know. Right now I'm watching the Sid one. It's about $950. I think it's pretty fair. Is there a few other cards I could get, maybe instead? Is something I'm kind of debating, but I have my eye on it just because it does match my Ovi, and I'm pretty keen on at least doing that with my set, is just getting matching cards.
Yeah.
But I have some, modern day kind of autos I'll show you. Do you rip packs at all, or are you more of a single buyer? I know we're coming up on our time, so I'll keep it pretty short and sweet.
No, I don't rip. I don't break. I don't rip. I learned my lesson many, many years ago that if you want to get ahead in this hobby, and I listen. I'll just say it: if you want to get ahead in this hobby, don't rip or break a single pack or box. You are going to regret it down the road. That said, I love the breakers because without breakers, I wouldn't be able to pick off the singles on the secondary market. So I'm
Right.
glad there's so many gamblers in our hobby, and I encourage them to continue to break packs and boxes and cases, because without that, those of us who understand the risk and are a little bit more risk averse, more those of us that value that understand and really value a dollar, we need you guys to continue breaking and cracking and cycling those cards through the system so we can add them to our collection, and we can buy them really on 10 to 30 cents on the dollar, because breakers need to feed that addiction. So yeah, I 2007, 8, 9 is when I really stopped opening cases and boxes, because I would go to the LCS and I would drive home with a feeling, with this gutted feeling in my belly, like I would if I went to the casino and dropped $1,000 at the poker table or blackjack tables. So yeah, I just stopped. And that said, maybe I rip 3 boxes a year,
Okay.
like that kind of thing. So, but that's it. That's absolutely it.
And then sometimes you get lucky. Like I was opening a lure and I so happened to pull a couple blue line autos, one of Suzuki, one of Evangelista out of 35. But again, I think you're right. I think I've really looked at it, and even though I love doing it for my channel, and for a lot of people that are in here, we all rip cards. And I know my buddy.
Sorry if I offend. I don't mean to offend anybody, but maybe if nothing else, it give you a way to think about another way to think about it. So I don't want to.
Yeah.
And thank you all for ripping. Thank you.
Yeah, no, my buddy Spine Six here, Sith, he's a big advocate of buying PSA 10s for his collection, and will consolidate maybe, another collection to get certain cards that he's really looking for. But we'll kind of end it there. I know we're at our 30-minute mark. Again, I wanted to respect your time because it is a Canadian Thanksgiving. Just let everyone know kind of what you have coming up. When maybe some days that your show's going to be this week, and let them know. I would appreciate that.
Thanks, Perchy. I enjoy the conversation. I also, got to learn more about you, which is awesome. So thanks for sharing collect some of your cards. But yeah, I do my main show is called Sports Cards Live. It's every Saturday night when I'm not traveling to a show, and it's a long form interview, like 2-hour long show. And I've done almost 250 episodes of that. Sunday nights, 3 Sundays a month, I do the Fanatics Collect Hockey show with Josh from the Gong Show. We do that during extended bidding. It's a lot of fun. And then 1 Monday a month, I do the MC Sports Card Showcase auction. I live cover their auctions ending on eBay. And those are all like $1,000 plus cards. Tons of action on that show. It's a lot of fun. And now 2 or 3 Tuesdays a month, I'm doing what's called the Fund Your Cards show for one of my sponsor clients. Their Fund Your Cards, they consolidate. So tomorrow night, we're doing a Fund Your Cards show. The founder comes on. He talks about the grails that he has picked up for his clients. Why? And then tomorrow we're bringing on one of his clients as a guest, Bye Bye Baby Cards on Instagram. He's going to talk about why he wanted the grail, what he gave up, and the thought process that goes on in a collector's mind when they are chasing a grail and they don't have the cash, so they have to use cards. And what cards do they get out of? I think it's really interesting. So that's the Fund Your Cards show. 1 Thursday a month, Perchy, I do the Fanatics premiere auction with Adam Gray, the Real 27 guy. We've been doing that show for 3.5 years now. Every 1 Thursday a month. So we do that one. And then I started doing this series about 20 weeks ago, where every Tuesday or Wednesday I put out a video. It's about 20 minutes long. It's my only non-live content that I do. And I go through my eBay watch list from the week before of items that have ended, and I just show what I was watching, what my thoughts were, why did I watch them, did I spot any, am I suspicious of any shill bidding, are people asking ridiculous prices, what did I bid on, did I win, did I lose, did I snipe, all that sort of stuff. So I do that show. I'll put one of those out tomorrow or Wednesday, and those are a lot of fun. Actually, I love doing those. So those are all on my YouTube channel. And you know, I do a show for REA auctions. I do 3 times a year. 90s auctions, I do a show 4 times a year. I have a lot of partnerships in the hobby, and it's just been an awesome journey for me. Almost 5 years now of doing content and live streams.
That's awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time. Just want to give a huge shout out to the chat as well. SV Vintage, Pop on Baby Bear, Lon Espinoza, Jay's Mix, Spine Ticks, G.I. Joe Gamer, Stooks. Thanks so much. I know you're a big follower of Jeremy. That's awesome. He'd give you a big shout out there. In the Box, Hockey Card Show. He's got a nice little take on how to collect, which I really love. He's not he buys like these lots. Zach, sports card ripping teacher, great guy. Actually, just want to give away that I mailed to him. Lon Espinoza, really appreciate you coming out. And just scrolling up here, making sure I didn't miss anybody. Sith, of course, Spine Ticks. I'm on his show every Saturday Night Live. And we do like comics and cards. It's a lot of fun. He's a great,
say is, like,
yeah.
Perchy, I'm seeing all the names in your chat, and the only one that I really knew was Stooks, but you've got an amazing chat, man. Like, all these guys are in here chatting. Like, you guys are awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, I just want to say thanks to them. And I want to check out In the Box Hockey Card Show. Are all these guys, like, do these guys all have YouTube channels, or are most of them chatters?
Maddie IA, CCBA. I just scrolled up to see them. Everyone here has a YouTube channel. Some of them are into other sports like baseball, football. There's a good amount that's hockey. So yeah, it's really great. Goes ahead, stop by. Thanks. But yeah, everyone here has some form of a channel and does some content, whether it's a mail day. Hammy and Son, thanks for coming out. But yeah, it's really fun. They're always very interactive in the chat. That's why we always love giving them shout outs when we do our lives. And it's a good opportunity for them. And without the chat, honestly, you know, our shows, at least these little guys like me, Jeremy, aren't anything without him. So again,
we are all live. I see In the Box says I know him. Who are you? I don't remember you by that name, In the Box, but I don't remember names very well, Perchy, but I'm pretty good with faces, so I probably recognize the face.
Yeah, no, for sure. He's a great dude, and he just has a different take on how to collect, and I love it. I think it's great.
Me
Something
too.
that doesn't break the bank, and
that's the best
he's just
thing.
A good collector.
One of the things I love about the hobby is just learning how other people approach it. You know, there's no right or wrong. There's just what you do. And, you know, I don't, you know, I know I've taken so long to get to the way that I collect now, but I love hearing about how other people, and like I said earlier, dude, like I'm open-minded. Like, someone gives me an idea, or I learn of a new theory or reason or card or whatever. Like, I'm always looking for new ways to enjoy the hobby. So yeah, I appreciate it. Oh, you used to work at the Icebox. Okay, with Wayne. Right on.
Oh, there it is. There's the connection. 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks, chat. Appreciate you coming out. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And thanks for coming out. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.